Hey everybody, Chris here. Why is crypto crashing today? We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out as well as when I do live streams. And this is across the whole crypto market. I know people are concerned about Dogecoin, but XRP, Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. That's right, Bitcoin has fallen below 70K. It is now in the 69s. That's right, 69K area for Bitcoin. We'll look at the charts on all those in just a minute. A lot of people worried, where's the bottom going to be? We did look at bear market bottoms back in December. We will revisit those in my next live stream, which will be on Friday. Also, over on X, I did show some charts that shows the trajectory of what a bear market looks like, how Dogecoin will track, and what I believe over the next 6 to 8 months. And we'll look at that again as well. But let's get into it. Let me show you the charts on the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here with the current Dogecoin price at 9.8 cents. 9.8 this morning. Dogecoin came down to about 9.75. There was an acceleration of selling early this morning, all the way down again to 9.75 on Dogecoin. Why is Dogecoin dropping? It's dropped the same percentage, about the same percentage as Bitcoin was up here at about 71.6 and dropped all the way down to 69K on the bottom of that dip. So right now, Bitcoin at 69.5, but weakness still in the market. ETH, 2,000, almost down to $2,000 now for ETH. When ETH hits 1999, that's going to be a big event, and I believe that is coming. Solana had a slow and steady fall over the past couple days. Not too bad at this level, but it is right below $90 at $89. And XRP down 10%. Bigger drop on XRP, came all the way down to $1.34 for XRP. So that's the current state. And over on X, I did post this morning when I got up. Bitcoin drops to 69K. So there it was. So follow me over on X so you stay up to date as I continue to post the latest that is going on in the market, and try to have a little fun too, which we will hear toward the end of this video, because I mean the markets are going to do what they're going to do, right? And if you're really depressed about all of it, you need to touch some grass and take a break right now as the markets are in bad shape. Why is crypto going down? XRP, Bitcoin, ETH, Doge. They're even below 2026 lows, which we'll show you in just a little bit. The cryptocurrency markets have plunged for the third consecutive session. Bitcoin testing 70K. Well, this is old news now because it's now in the 69s. XRP crashing. ETH falling. Doge battling support. Nope, the 10-cent support hasn't held, as we saw Doge down in the 9s now. Hasn't dropped to 9.5 though, and that is the key support for Dogecoin. So why are we going down? What is this about? Well, we can look at reactive analysis, we can look at wishful thinking analysis, or we can just do what Chris does and so zoom out and look at the bigger picture of what's going on and where we think this is going. We can look at the 100-week, 200-week, 300-week moving averages, which are all these lines on the chart, which in the end don't really mean anything other than it just tells you where the current price is compared to how whatever it is you're looking at has traded in the past. That's all these moving averages look. Sometimes we use these as signals, though, at certain levels, but that doesn't mean that a particular coin is actually going to stop right on that line and that's going to be support. So we have to understand that. And then we can look at fib lines, of course, and fib lines just gives us an idea based on golden ratio, which crypto sometimes does follow, where we think prices may go below. So Bitcoin is now 45% below its October peak, with the recent drawdown accelerating as expectations that Bitcoin would never revisit sub 100K levels were shattered, and we've seen this continual decline of Bitcoin going down. XRP also with an open path down to $1.25. So the $1.25 again is pretty close to my bear market bottom, which was $1.21 based on my Fibonacci pullback. And if that fails, we could see a more rapid decline back to the summer before's area in the 50-cent range, which would be an even bigger crash than we're having right now. Doge, again, fighting 10%, again, 9.5. What's the support from the October 10th flash crash? That's that wick right there. And if we drop to that level, we will see whether that level holds or not. But that's what we're looking at on Doge. And ETH, we'll talk about ETH in just a little bit and what's happening with ETH, but it is getting close to $2,000 as it goes down. Bearish pressure persists. Even if the current support breaks, next support sits around 1,760. And I think if I recall, my bear market bottom low was about in the 1600s. Again, we can revisit all of those again. This is basically a $775 million liquidation event. And I think it's even more now. It's probably 850, 900, probably $1 billion by now with these subsequent drops in prices. And what began as a minor technical correction accelerated into a mass capitulation of long positions. This is what it's about. Open interest, ballooning to unsustainable levels. So nobody's actually buying on spot right now because everybody's fearful, but the leverage traders are buying long leverage thinking we're hitting the bottom, we're bouncing, and they want to catch the recovery with leverage, 5x, 10x, 20x leverage, whatever that is, and then we drop lower and wipe out that leverage trading. That is the manipulation in the market that is going on. We did see $2.2 billion on February 1st, the so-called Black Sunday 2, but since then, we've had subsequent days of over $100 million in leverage positions wiped out again and again and again. It's not letting up. We have a hawkish Federal Reserve policy overall. People think Kevin Warsh is going to be pro-crypto, but he's not starting until May. So we are still in the depths here. There's going to be no rate cuts coming, at least until then. Institutional outflows are accelerating. BlackRock selling large amounts of Bitcoin, and that's because of the ETF buying. Or there is no ETF buying, it's ETF selling by those investors on BlackRock. It's not BlackRock itself selling. They sell the underlying asset of Bitcoin, but that's based on those investors, the paper hands holders of the ETF selling, and then BlackRock then turns around and sells behind that. So that's what's going on. We're just seeing this sort of progression of selling. Here we're looking at Dan Crypto Trades, where you see areas of what was supposed to be support, and Bitcoin just plowed right through that support level. So where are we now? Well, best thing is to wait and see where it stalls out to see if it starts ranging again. High volume nodes can give a decent indication of where some support might be found. But yeah, we are now in the same area we were right before the presidential election in November 2024. So all of the Bitcoin that has been bought since Trump was elected president, anybody who bought any of that is now in the red. We have a pro-Bitcoin president, though. We have a pro-Bitcoin vice president, a pro-Bitcoin SEC chair, pro-Bitcoin CFTC chair. And we would think everyone is buying, but they're not. So that's why we keep going down. It's not because of all of this support. This was supposed to be great, right? With all of this all this support in Bitcoin, United States has a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and yet price keeps going down. It is the total manipulation, as I have been saying. Binance is behind it, along with Wintermute and others. Here they are. Here's why the crypto market is dumping right now. And it's Kraken, Bybit, Coinbase. They're selling. They're all selling. They sold over $5 billion of Bitcoin during low liquidity hours. Dumped the price below 70K, peer coordinated dump. And that's the interesting thing, about having blockchain where you can see everything. Well, you can see everything, and it's all outflows. It's all outflows. They're going after that leverage. And how about Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy? Strategy B is now down $4.3 billion on all of their Bitcoin. And we have been tracking that on the Bitcoin chart with this yellow line. This is MicroStrategy's average price of all of the Bitcoin that they bought over the past 5.5 years. That's where their average price is, because they were buying really low in 19 and 20, but then they were also buying a crap ton of Bitcoin over 100K. And now here we are with the successive drops in the price of Bitcoin, and now they are way below their average price. That is not going to help. That is not going to help the MicroStrategy stock. As I've been saying for months, I wouldn't touch MicroStrategy stock right now. I would wait to see how everything levels out through the summer. But here we are, Bitcoin too expensive at 126K, so wait for the dip. Now it's at 6970K, and people are saying Bitcoin is dead, I'll buy some later. Every single cycle, right? You just lower your price expectation as it hits the prices where you say you're going to buy, but then you don't buy. Fear in the market, that's what we have right now. Breaking, Vitalik Buterin sold 2,972 ETH for $6.7 million over the past 3 days. Why is he selling? Well, he knows the markets. He sees what's happening. He should have taken profits at $4,000. But he's taking profits now just over 2,000 because he probably thinks ETH is going lower as well. So here's CryptoJack. The previous Bitcoin cycle has been copied and pasted into the current one. So I have said bear market since the end of October. We had the October 10th flash crash that changed everything. People still say, oh, Chris said we'll never see 9 cents. I said in the bull market in 2025, we would never see 9 cents. Now we're in a bear market. And I called the bear back in, I think it was end of October, beginning of November, once Bitcoin hit that 50-week moving average. Again, it was just a point of reference, and that gave me the sign that we were back in a 2022 pattern, which we talked about at the end of last year, that 2022 pattern. Well, it's playing out pretty well. We had a little relief rally as predicted, and now we are going lower. If this plays out with the fractal, we'll be looking at the summer, right? Summer of 2026. And that's what I'm looking at for bear market bottoms. Again, and this was my prediction. This was back in January. I posted this for Dogecoin, and it's following along pretty well. It's a little bit lower with this dip right here that we have in early February because we did break 10 cents. I didn't think we'd actually be breaking 10 cents probably till May or June, but here we are a little bit accelerated right now with all of the fear in the market. And we do have, again, fear, extreme fear for Doge, even lower for Bitcoin. Doge had been holding up fairly well the past couple days compared to Bitcoin, but now it's capitulation, not looking great. And Trader Allen is even on board on the 4-year chart looking at a bear flag, and the bear flag did play out. In fact, it was a kind of a double bear flag from the blue to the red and going lower. So that is how it's been playing out. So what do we do about it, right? What do we do about it? Well, Cook says, look, the only thing to do now is stay online every day, DCA quality assets. Now, I'm not DCAing right now. I know some of you are, but I am not confident yet that we've hit bottoms, and I am being patient and waiting. If this is the bottom here and it starts to go up, that could be another relief rally. We'll be watching that, but it could also be a bounce and could continue to go higher. And if that's what it does, I'll find a time on a future dip. I'm really mainly watching what the stock market does, because the stock market hasn't had that big dip yet. And when that happens, we will see a big dip in crypto as well. However, you need money to DCA, so get a job. Get a job. You got to be working. Go to McDonald's. They're hiring. The work you put in during bear market like this is what sets you up to win in the bull. The small group of winners for the next cycle is online right now. The exit liquidity left. They'll come back at the top and they'll buy our bags. Be in the winner group. That's what I did. I sold over a year ago 85% of my crypto and took profits. That's a good sign to like, okay, you buy at the bottoms. I was buying at the end of 2022 when Bitcoin hit 15,600. We had that final black swan event, FTX going bankrupt. That was that last bit. That was the signal to me, okay, now it's time to start buying. We will look for that kind of signal again here in 2026. You want to be in the winner group. You don't want to be buying high and selling low. So that's where we are right now, 69.1 as I'm closing this video out here in the morning. The stock market hasn't opened yet, but crypto is still very weak and going lower. Looks like we're going to see Bitcoin into the 68s here very soon. Will Doge be able to hold 9.5 cents? We'll be watching that as well. Look for my next live stream on Friday afternoon. I may do a Thursday afternoon live stream. We'll see how the trading goes today, but this may be a special one. So make sure you subscribe, you got your notifications on. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, how you feeling about this crash and market situation as it is now. And as always, subscribe, give the video a like. We'll see you next time.